Hey, welcome back to Toma. I'm your host, Jason Bowler. This is where we don't retire in the middle age, we rebuild it. So, all month we've been talking about the fight. And by fight, I mean the fight that we have with ourselves on a regular basis. There's the version of us that wants comfort, and then there's the version of us that wants self respect. And here's the truth that most men don't want to hear. You don't become strong by making these big promises. You become strong by keeping the small promises to yourself. That's why today's guest matters, because while most men are still waiting to get motivated, Adam Ferguson has quietly stacked over 1,000 days of showing up 1 mile every day, no matter what, not just when it's sunny, not just when it's convenient, not just when he feels inspired, through snow, through darkness, through night shift, through hotels, through hospitals, all the way up to northern Alaska, as you can see behind him, where the sun rarely shows up this time of year, if at all. He didn't do it because it was impressive. He did it because it was unavoidable. And when a man makes something unavoidable, it stops being a habit, it becomes their identity. This episode is not about running. It's about who you become when you stop negotiating with yourself. So let's get into it. Adam, my man, how's it going, dude?
It's good, Jason. How are you, brother?
Man, I'm doing great. For those that don't know, Adam and I come from around the same area. We didn't go to the same high school, but we did go to the same college. We're fraternity brothers, although we didn't go to college at the same time because I was off in the military. And we also spent time at the same deer camp and try to get together at least once a year when he's not traveling, but he is a traveling nurse and he is currently in Barrow, Alaska, and you can see nothing but the Arctic Ocean behind him. So it's good to have you here, Adam. Hope you're doing well. It's good to see you, man.
Thanks for having me, Jason. The same, brother. It's always good to see you and good to talk to you. And yes, I am in the remoteness of Barrow, Alaska. And as you can see right behind me, that's the Arctic Ocean, literally a rock's throw from where they're housing me up here. And it's quite spectacular. This is actually a place that I've wanted to come to since about 2006. So I've checked off a bucket list destination.
Man, we're on the same page on the bucket list thing. I got these crazy places I want to go. I'm a little jealous of that. I wouldn't want to go as long as you're up there. You're up there a few months, maybe a week or so, just to say I did it. But that's awesome, man.
Well, I will say that this is the furthest north community in the United States. I was telling my wife that it'd be great for you to come up and visit, but there's absolutely nothing to do except to say that you've been to the top of the United States. So, but it's neat. The people are neat, and the remoteness is really something to behold.
Awesome, man. Well, let's get into it because I was talking about you running, but I didn't go into specifics. So I did. I kind of did, but we'll say Adam has run at least 1 mile, often more at this point, for over 1,000 days. And that's a traveling nurse. That's a guy that's like in airports and all over the place and working crazy shifts and here and he's there and through all sorts of weather. Obviously, a treadmill comes into play at that point. But let's go back to day one. What was broken or restless enough within your life that made you say, you know what, I'm going to Forrest Gump this thing. I'm just going to start running every day?
Well, obviously what was broken, I guess, to use that term, was just kind of complacency. Maybe you were in a hole that you weren't really doing anything. You were just spinning wheels. And I'll back up a little bit. This started because of a good friend of mine from St. Joseph, Missouri, tried to entice me when I lived in North Dakota, if you remember when I was living up there, to get me to join this running club based out of St. Joseph, Missouri, called the Measly Mile Mafia. And I said, Devin, there's no way in hell I'm going to join this club when I live in North Dakota and I don't have access to a treadmill or a gym every day because I'm not running in negative 40 degree temperatures. So that was in 2023, I believe. 24, I'd moved. Nope, that was 22 when he started. 23 is when I started. So fast forward a year, I moved back to Arkansas when Mom got sick. And I finally told Devin, I said, I'm going to join you on this journey. And that journey is a mile a day. This running club, like I said, called the Measly Mile Mafia, it's Facebook-based and Strava-based. And their mantra is, I'll show you a little picture of it because I wear it every day, payment due daily. And that's what it is. You just have to pay your dues every day. And it's just a measly mile. We can all do a mile. Maybe it's, their rules are you have 20 minutes to get it done. Well, most of us can walk that. Me, when I first started, it was about 16 minutes to get that mile in. So what I finally did is I said, I'm going to do this, Adam. It's time to get up and do it. I was self-conscious. I was apprehensive. I was worried that people were going to laugh, mock, make fun of me. So I went and I started on a treadmill. So I'd go up to Planet Fitness. I keep a membership in Planet Fitness just because of the accessibility for most places I go. And so for a year, I ran on the treadmill. I wouldn't run outside. Occasionally I would. But fast forward, and well, I will say I despised running for about the first 700 days of this. I'm not going to lie. But I took that leap, I took that step. And then after a week, I went down to about 15 and a half minutes. And then a month, I was below 15 minutes. And then I still remember when I hit that first mile below 10 minutes. It was like benching 315 pounds the first time. It was just exhilarating for somebody that was morbidly obese like me. So I thought that it was time to let's try something. Let's get healthy. Let's do something healthier than what you're doing, which one of your episodes you talk about sitting down, doing nothing, and letting life pass you by. And so I said, this is one thing that I can do to try to improve my health.
Awesome, man. So when you first started though, did you imagine 30 days, 100 days, a year, or was 1,000 anywhere in your brain at that time?
Not even close. So when I first started, I just wanted to make it to day 2. And then once I got to day 2, so that's the beauty of this running club that I belong to, is they're supportive. There's over 800 members in it now, number 1. But number 2, there's milestones. So my first milestone when I did that was 100 days. At 100 days, you get the opportunity to buy a Measly Mile t-shirt. And so I hit that 100 days and I felt great. I didn't feel great running because it still hurt. My Achilles, were screaming every day, and I knew they were going to scream because I had poor form. I was still carrying, I guess when I first started running, Jason, I was probably about 290, 295. And even that was down from my peak of about 330, 335 pounds. And so, then after that 100 days, you've pretty much established a habit, and you have these cheerleaders like my dad and like Lisa and then Devin and Kent and you guys on the deer camp chat and all that stuff. And it was, you go, all right, we're at 100 days. You kind of established this habit. Let's go for 365. And then day 365, it was like, hell yeah. You just feel good. And it's kind of a rush that you get there and you just want to keep going. And then we have several kids in the family now that you want to continue to set an example for them. And so our 14-year-old made a comment. He said, Adam makes healthy choices. And so to me, that made me feel good. But then I hit that 365 and then I kind of like, wow. Some people hit that 365 goal and they quit. And there's nothing wrong with that because that was their goal. But for me, it just became, I'm not going to stop now. And then I hit 730 days. That's 2 years. And then last Tuesday, I hit 1,000. And then this morning it was 1,008.
Congratulations. I just had an episode a couple weeks ago about the idea that when you set a calendar date, like I set 365 to try to lose weight, start exercising, not have any alcohol, all that stuff was the problem when you set a date like that to me is once you get to 366, what do you do? And that's when the battle really starts because is that who you are or were you just trying to get to a certain date kind of thing? You know what I'm saying? So it gets actually harder after 365 if that's the date you have in your brain. So I really appreciate what you've done with just like really not making fun, but more like a Forrest Gump thing. Like I got to this coast and I was like, well, may as well run to the other one. Like you're not stopping, you're not settling. And that's inspiring to me. So be honest, how many days, well, you've already kind of alluded to this, but it was more about your Achilles and whatnot. But how many days did you wake up and say, I don't want to run today? If you had to pick out of 1,000.
But literally probably close to 700. I just go, this sucks. Like I have what they call the barrow crud right now since I just flew back up here. Hell, even this morning, but before I left the hospital, I didn't want to do it, but I knew I had to do it. And it was like, it wasn't, and I told them before I said, hey, I'm gonna run upstairs, go run. I said, this run's not going to be quick. I said, I'm probably going to just do it in about 12 minutes. I get on the treadmill and I said, no, you're not. You're not going to do 12 minutes. You're going to keep it within your 9 to 10 range. Excuse me. And I said, you push forwards. Every day I woke up, I'd go, ugh, I got to go do this run. Even with, our buddies down south, when we went fishing, I'd get up and I'd go run in that South Louisiana heat after drinking beer all day on the boat and fishing. I still got it done. I didn't want to do it. And I could have chose to stay in the condo or whatever and pound beer and, whatnot, but I went and did it. There's days that me and Lloyd went and played golf, and he would go run that mile with me at 11:30 at night to make sure I got it done. But I didn't want to do it. I just wanted to say, hey, let's switch to bourbon. Let's keep pounding down. But no, I got it done. So there's so many days that I didn't want to do it, but I would let myself down. How would I feel the next day? That's what I did not want to know. I didn't want to know what the next day was going to go if I had to get on that group and tell 500 people I messed up. I'm starting back at day one because of something not injury related or anything like that, but because of a dumb decision I made. So I had to hold myself accountable by just going out and doing a measly mile.
Right. So, do you think discipline is a personality trait or something that's just built through repetition?
Oh, well, that's a great question. I think that it can absolutely be built. And I think that we all have it inside of us to find that trigger that can lead us on that path to where we make the choice to become disciplined enough to follow through with what we set our mind to. And I think that for me, obviously I wasn't disciplined. Now, I don't know if you remember when I went to Utah, I spent a few weeks out there focusing on my health and learning some habits and whatnot. So I did have a little base to build off of, but once I left there, I kind of just got into a rut and just not being active. So I had to reset my mindset and become disciplined again to focus on at least one aspect of my health.
So, what's the worst conditions outdoors that you've ever run a mile in?
So I will, like I was telling you, I've run from anywhere from Texas heat to North Dakota cold to I've not run up here because I don't want to injure myself. But Lisa and I spent a week going down the the Oregon coastline. So in the fall, in November, so it rains every day there. So I'm running in rain. We had that big snowstorm a couple of years last year and the year before in Arkansas. I ran in that. So the cold and wet, I don't like. That's not fun. I tell people, I've told y'all, I'd give me North Dakota cold any day over Arkansas cold. I don't like the cold humid. So the cold and humid is not fun. But for me, I'd sweat in a refrigerator. I mean, it's the heat's not fun either. But I've run in so many different conditions. Oh, and I mean, my dad and I went to North Dakota to get some stuff. I'd pull over on the side of the interstate because I had to get my mile in, and it'd be right in front of a blizzard that I wanted to get it in before a blizzard came through, and then ran on a gravel road in South Dakota on the way back home. It's just whenever I can get it in, that's kind of the priority of the day is I have to carve out, and it's only 10 or 15 minutes for that activity that I'm doing that I have to carve out each day. So it's been some rather uncomfortable runs. And that was one of the things about this assignment here that was, kind of a deal breaker. I said, I can't come up there if I don't have the ability to run. Even though this was a bucket list place for me, my streak was way more important than that. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to, I didn't feel comfortable running outside. Could I do it? Yes. This group has a Arctic Force Challenge going on right now where everybody has to run all their runs outside until March. Well, hell, this would have been a true Arctic Forces run to do it up here. And I thought, man, I'm geared up for that. My buddy Brian had that. He gave me some cleats, and I'm pumped up. And then I get up here and I go, that sounds all well and good in theory, but what happens if I fall down and hurt myself for something that's unnecessary and I have to end my streak because of that? So I'm constantly thinking about ways that I can stay healthy enough to continue the streak as well.
Awesome. But outside of outdoor places, have you ever had to get a mile in at a hospital or I'm assuming a hotel? Yes, but like parking garages, stairwells, anywhere just crazy like that just to keep it going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have actually run in several parking lots. When I was in Kansas City, my buddy and we ran in the parking lot of the hotel to get it in January. Snow everywhere. Let me think. Rice fields, run along rice fields. The hospital. I try not to run in the hospital too much because you see somebody run in the hospital, you kind of get some hairs tingling on some people. And so I try not to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, yeah, the wife watches Grey's Anatomy. I catch a peek every now and then. It's never good when they're running.
No, it's not. But definitely some parking garages, parking lots. I have actually run a mile in an ICU before, just running from wall to wall to get it in. And if you look at the Strava map, it looks like you're just you do like 1,000 laps going back and forth across the units.
Yeah, that's wild right there, man. I don't know that I could get enough momentum, like physical momentum, not mental, to run in a small room like that long enough to get a mile. At some point, I would just be like, "Oh, to hell with it." Like, I got to go somewhere where I can stretch out, you know. But what do you think most men, just in general? And my view is that as men in the modern era, we are definitely softer than our previous generations. I would say overall. Generally speaking, there are exceptions, but we're not storming the beaches of Normandy or anything like that. So, what do you think most men misunderstand about consistently showing up every
Oh, wow. That's, a great question. Gosh, misunderstand. I think what they misunderstand is the benefits of the consistency. And, I think they misunderstand that the overcoming that hurdle, and it all starts here, is that it's going to make them a better man. It's going to make them stronger in the long run. It's one of those things that it's not tactile. And I think the issue that a lot of us have now is that we've become so ingrained with instant gratification that we don't see the benefit or the reward of putting forth the effort. And I think that that probably does lead a lot of people to be softer because they don't see anything through. They're easy to quit and whatnot like that. So I think that they misunderstand the end goal. They misunderstand what it takes to get to that goal that's going to make them a better person.
now? Speaking of that, man, what else in your life has changed because you proved to yourself that you could do this? How has it affected you positively in other aspects of your life?
Oh, man. So number one, like I alluded to earlier, was I was self-conscious. I hated the way I looked. Like I said, I was 300 something pounds and, just kind of withering away. And so it was a mental block that I had that these people are looking at me. They're going to laugh at me. They're going to, whatever it may be. And so I had to overcome that and go, you know what? Screw them. This is about me. They don't know who the hell I am. Just go do it. And then there may be that one person at the gym that goes, God, look at that 300-pound dude over there running. And it may motivate them. But what's important to me is my kids see it. They see, hey, he's running. He's being healthy. He's doing this. But it's that's kind of what it is for me.
Good deal. So, why do you think a simple rule, just a real cut and dry goal of 1 mile works so well?
Oh, I'll tell you, it's because it's so attainable. So attainable. I can't tell you how many people that I have told, when I bring up the mile and whatnot, they go, "Oh, I can't run a mile." I said, "Yeah, you can. Absolutely, you can." I said, "Well," they say, "I'll make them walk it." I said, "That's great. Start there. Put one foot in front of the other." And what people don't realize is how short a period of time of 20 minutes is. And so once you put that one foot in there, then you're continuing to make that progress. And I think once again, it comes back to right here, that self-doubt that, like you talked in one episode, talking about that little devil jumping up there and telling you can't do it, or you're not going to do it today or whatever, and pushing that dude aside and saying, yeah, we are. We're going to get it done.
Well, all right. So, if you could give your younger self one message today, what would that message be?
Run a mile, 100%. Just
Run.
do it. Because I tell this story to people all the time. When we were younger, Trace and I'd go lift weights. And I mean, we were in the gym every day, but I did not do cardio. And that I would definitely go back and tell my younger self, hey, lift those weights like you want to, but go do that mile. Because I was that person that said, I'm not running a mile. I can't run a mile. I'll run to first base. I'll run to second base, but I'm not going to run a mile. But it's once I finally did it, I go, hey, this is not bad. And then every day, whenever that little self-doubt shows up, I go, it's just a mile, buddy. Go get it done. And a lot of those days, as I sent, last week or at the end of the year last year, turned into a 1,040 last year. I never thought that I'd do it. 1,040 miles in one year, but it's gotten to the point now, excuse me, that just a mile feels like I've not accomplished anything. I've not done something. I have
Yeah.
progressed to that point that I'm no longer just doing a mile. Now, don't get me wrong. There's several days that I'll get in there and just do a mile, but there's a lot of days that I go, I don't feel good. I don't feel like I have truly tested myself or pushed myself to get better. Did I get better than yesterday? It's like an episode that you talked about. Were you 1% better today than you were yesterday? And that's, people don't realize how small 1% can be. It could just be, hey, you went 1.01 miles or whatever, however you want to do it. But a lot of days for me, it's about continuing to go. And up here, I run on treadmill, and people in this run group, they go, dude, how do you do that on a treadmill? I did 10 miles the other day. I mean, looking at a white wall, they turned this gym, the racquetball courts, into a cardio room, into a weight room, and here I am for 10 miles running in place in a treadmill, and it all starts in the mind. But for me, what I do is I keep things changing, interesting. I keep my mind engaged. Listen to music, obviously. You know how much I love music, just like you do. But I'm sitting here and I'm adjusting the speed, or I'm adjusting the incline, or, I'm going, all right, hey, you just ran a mile, let's walk a 10th, and then let's run 8/10 and let's do a 10th, and then let's run 6/10 and just whatever it may be, or I'm constantly changing to keep me and my mind engaged in that activity. So now it's become, let's do 2 miles. And then like last year, I guess about a little less than 3 miles. And so, because I started that one small habit almost 3 years ago now, has progressed to not just a mile anymore.
Man, you made an excellent point. I think that's what some people don't understand. If they start with a smaller goal to begin with, but they keep the consistency, small goal plus consistency grows those bigger goals. So I know when I first started running and exercising a little over a year ago regularly. I mean, I've always done it off and on, but like regularly. The first time I ran a 5K without like falling out dead, I thought I'd won the freaking World Series or something, you know?
Yep.
And there's no way I could have done that day one, but it's just that consistent buildup. And like you said, you get to a mile, and now all of a sudden a mile is just like, you know, maybe I do only a mile on my worst day when I'm feeling like crap, but the rest of the time a mile just ain't getting it anymore. And so that's what people need to understand, is that you start small and consistent, and it ends up being something that you would have never dreamed of, as far as your ability to do things that your old self couldn't have imagine doing. Man, that's all the questions I have today. But I can see having you on here in the future, man. You're a natural. You're easy to talk to. You got a lot of good things to say, and I've enjoyed having you. I enjoy seeing that view of the Arctic Ocean behind you. That's might be as close as I ever get to it. We'll see. But it's good to have you. And for everybody listening, be sure to keep tuning in. We'll start out with one guest per month, and then maybe build up to that. We'll see how it goes. You've been listening to Toma.